Okay, good morning. It is the 11th of July. It's been a long time coming. This is one of my first long format videos that I will be doing. It is the first. We've already had a ton of technical difficulties this morning figuring out the microphone. I typically use the DJI Mic 2, and it's just the receiver's been cutting out mid videos, and that's not really what we want for a long form video. So that's been something I've got to figure out. So I'm using the voice memos app on this phone, going to transfer it to the visual on that phone and see how that works, see if it comes out a little bit cleaner, but not ideal, frustrating, but we move. So this format's been a long time coming. I'm not sure how long I can talk into the camera for or what I'm even going to talk about. I thought about, writing up an agenda on things to talk about, but I just don't think that that's the right fit. I should just go off the cuff because, the last couple of videos that I've been doing, because I've been doing the 15 videos every single day, many of the videos, I try to keep under 2 minutes, and I'm just smashing, I'm just going well above and beyond 2 minutes without actually explaining the topics that I want to talk about, in depth. So I think this will give me a vessel to just yap, just talk about things, talk about it extensively, and just give me the opportunity to really go in depth and explain topics that I'm really interested in, and that I think I should really talk about in depth, over this. So, one of the first things was sorting out that microphone, which is annoying. I'm not sure the frequency that I'm going to do these, but I think it's really, really important that I do these. And there's a couple of reasons why. One of which was something that I learned from Alex Hormozy. Now I consume a lot of Alex Hormozy's content. I think it's one of the best stuff to consume for a business owner, simply because he simplifies things down to, the most basic topics, and it makes it easy for me to digest and understand. So he was discussing making tons of longer form content, which is what this will be, longer form, whether it be 10 minutes or an hour. It doesn't really matter to me how long it takes. But, whether it be 10 minutes or an hour, you can take that, you can chop it up, you can snip it, you can repurpose it, you can do a whole bunch of things with it. So also, yawning is really bad in my videos recently. I've had to cut a lot because of yawning, so that's probably not ideal. I should probably do this not really early in the morning and more when I'm more alert or whatever. But back to Alex Hormozy. So basically what he's saying is making longer form content can be cut up into short form. It can be chopped up, repurposed, and the same 3 videos can be repurposed with different hooks. So you might do a longer form content video, take all the meat from that, and then add hooks to it later on. So let's say, for example, you take 10 videos and then let's say you take 3 videos and you try 50 different hooks on it. That's 150 pieces of content. You get larger distribution, these kind of things. So what I'm trying to get at with all this content stuff and building a long form video format that I'm looking to work on for, a couple times a week, maybe once a week, maybe, every single day. It depends where we get to and how efficient it really is. What I will be trying to do is taking that content and basically just distributing it as much as possible. So instead of me sitting down and making 15 separate videos every single day, which only takes me between 15 minutes and half an hour, it's been taking longer because of that microphone, but between, that 15 minutes and half an hour, that's not a long time to make 15 pieces of content. The only problem is the editing it and the uploading it, which just takes that little bit longer. Excuse me. That just takes that little bit longer, which, isn't ideal, and I could be spending time on other things. As much as I think the content and all the marketing or the organic content for me is one of the most important things. I think that, time is better spent in the business as well, whether that's reaching out to clients, customers, these kind of things. So what I'm trying to get at is, by making long form content, I can get better distribution. I can get to the stage where my content, not that it's good enough at the moment, but it can be getting clipped, and I can get a larger amount of distribution. So let's say, for example, I make a hour-long video right now. I don't know how long I plan to make a video for, but I make an hour-long video. I cover a bunch of different concepts. Maybe I have an agenda of things I need to talk about for the week, which is probably what I'm going to do today. And then with all that content, you can snip it up into sections, snip it up into little clips, whatever, and then distribute it across Instagram. Excuse me. So, if you can snip it up and distribute it across Instagram, across many different pages. So I would be doing it across my Ryan V. Gent page. We might have a few other pages that are distributing that content as well, simply to get as much, content out there as possible for myself and for Exertion. So it's just another means of getting tons of views. At the moment, what I'm doing is making these short form content pieces, so 15 videos every single day, and then what I'm doing with them is I'm posting them across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. And as much as that isn't really working well that much, even being honest, so I either scale up more or I increase the quality. And I think to increase the quality, I need to just talk about things that are more interesting or appeal better to a larger audience, as much as that would take my content from documenting to, creating content. Maybe that's not something I want to do now that I think of it. This is more a means of documenting my journey and documenting my thoughts, ideas, all these kind of things as I grow the business. So I'm not really interested in making content, but more interested in documenting the journey. So if I'm making long form content, first of all, we get some different types of viewers, people that tune in to just listen to me chat about Exertion and where we're at with things at the moment. We've got the people who will listen to the short form videos. We have people that will listen to, the short form videos, and any other videos that kind of get derived from this get clipped up. So let's say, for example, I took this video, I cut it into 15 to 20 different sections, just depending on what I was talking about during the day, during the session, whatever. That would get distributed across my Instagram. That would get distributed across, 4, 5, 6, depending on, I could be paying out people to clip up my content and post it. That's actually a really good idea, and I'll come back to that. But yeah, I just need as much distribution as possible. I really need to get my word out there. So one of the things that I've had a really, really big emphasis on throughout the building of Exertion is that Exertion is a great product, it's a great brand, but the only way that it dies is of irrelevance, of people not knowing about it. And that's actually a little bit of a fear of mine, because I came into the content space a little bit naive, not knowing kind of how difficult it could be to build a brand, to build a presence, to build an identity, to build a personal brand, these kind of things. And as much as, I'm only 2.5 months into the process, almost 3 months into the process, things haven't moved as quickly as I thought they would, and that's okay. I'm not fazed by that, because I know I'm in this for the long term. That's another thing I'll discuss. I'm in this for the long term, but things don't come around as easy as possible. So you've kind of got to get to the point where you're either making content that's interesting, you've already built something, or you're building something. So I'm in the process of building something, building Exertion, but people have to have a reason to engage with you, to watch your videos, to listen to you. And I think just at this stage, 1,100 videos in terms of short form on Instagram, people just haven't had that reason to listen to me, which I don't blame them. Instead of making content, I am just documenting the journey, documenting my thoughts. I think which has been really important, and that's what I'll get into now. Documenting your thoughts, documenting the whole journey, the whole process is something that I wish I did with my previous business, which was trading. So trading Forex and trading the stock market, because I've had some success with that. I did that for probably a year and a half full time. I'm still doing it, here and there now just to make an income, but not as heavily as I used to. And I wish over that year and a half full time, I just really knuckled down and made some content about it, showed my highs, showed my lows. Because I can guarantee you that there was plenty of them. There was so many highs, so many lows, so many points where I felt like quitting, so many points where I was on top of the world, and you just go up and down, and it's a really crazy process. And I wanted to be able to do this with exertion. So I kind of started making videos, 2.5, 3 months ago. And we were already about 3 months into the development or the concept stage of exertion. So, we haven't even made the drink yet at this stage as you're watching this video. So we are still early. But I number one, wish I started making videos from the start. Number two, wish I started making videos from the start of my trading business. And number three, I wish I started making videos years ago. Why is this? And this is such a strange thing coming from me. If anyone knows me, making videos I would be one of the last people to do so. But I just see how much leverage it has, how much potential it has. Let's go with leverage. How much leverage it has, because I can sit here and spend an hour of my time doing this, and then I can pay a few people to clip up all my videos, to clip up everything that I've made and repurpose it and send it out again. And then all of a sudden you're getting so much reach that you would have never ever gotten from an ad or, any other type of marketing. And I'm not spending any money. Like, I'm willing to give up a few hours of my day to make content for free at this stage of exertion, simply because exertion's bootstrapped. Like, I'm not taking in any money from anyone, and getting that wide reach and that wide distribution simply off spending a few hours a day talking about whatever it may be about the business. I think that's a great trade-off, and it's something that I'm really, really willing to do. So yeah, where was I at with that? Making content, distribution, long form content. Yeah, very happy with that. We'll move on to the next topic, and I'll kind of go from there. So I want to give a recap of this week. I know I didn't finish my last point, but that's what happens in long form content, hey? So I want to give a recap of this week and kind of where we're at in the process of developing exertion. Obviously, this is my first time really sitting down and having a good old chat about where we're at, because, I can make scattered videos all the time. I make 15 videos every day. So it's probably not, people probably don't understand where we're actually at with exertion, and this gives me a good opportunity to explain the last week. So the last week has actually been really exciting. We got our beverage handover from our beverage tech and our kind of beverage developers, formulators and stuff. So the design is done, the formulation is done, everything to do with the can and the drink is done. We started in December. It's taken until this week, which is the second week of July. So it's taken, a good 8 months to get that done, get that ready and compliant and everything. So from here on out, and what I've been doing for the last week, has been really getting things organized. So one of the first things you have to do is find a contract manufacturer. And these are the kind of videos where I actually want to get into this stuff because I can explain everything extensively and I don't have a time limit. So a contract manufacturer is simply a facility or a company that cans, bottles, creates your beverage for you. So I'll have the cans ready for them. I'll send my cans off to them. The cans will have the design and everything on them. I send my cans to them. I send my ingredients to them. And what they do is they take all my ingredients, they chuck it in a bunch of large vats, mix it up. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that, but they mix up my beverage and they put them into every single can. So they put them into every single can, seal them all, and then I might be at the facility. We'll put them into our slabs or our 4-packs or whatever we decide to package them as, and we put them on a pallet and then we get them sent up here. So essentially they're one of the most important parts of the beverage manufacturing process because they are filling the cans. They are putting the liquid, the ingredients, everything in the can. So that's the kind of thing that you start with when everything gets handed over. I probably should have started just that little bit early, and I did, but I can basically have confirmed my location, and I won't really talk about it yet just because I want like complete confirmation that we're working with this co-packer. But essentially what we're doing with this co-packer is they give a full service, and what that means is I can send them my artwork for my can, for my carton, everything, and they'll source all that for me, at a little bit of an extra cost, which is fine by me because that means just less logistics for me. So they'll source the can, the carton, everything. Then the only thing that I have to source once I've managed to lock them in is ingredients. And this is where things get a little bit more complex because ingredients can be sourced from one point, depending on the ingredients, or every single ingredient can be sourced from a different supplier, which means different things. So let me explain ingredients, and that's one of the biggest things that I've been knuckling down this week is ingredients. So we've got, we've got 8-ish ingredients besides carbonated water in our beverage. I think that's really good considering we've got multiple electrolytes, we've got a flavour, we've got dextrose, which is a natural occurring sugar, and these kind of things. So you'll be able to read it on the ingredient label when you get the can anyway. So I'm not hiding anything. But of those 8 ingredients, 6 of which are sourced from a few factories down from where I'm getting the can manufactured, which is fantastic, right? That's like best case scenario. So that means that lead times, the time it takes to order the product and get it delivered to the co-packer, is really, really low. It's like a week. So if I say, hey, I need so many kilograms of dextrose delivered to this place, they'll say, yeah, we can do that within a week. Fantastic. That is smicko, beautiful, no worries. So that would mean that, we'd have a quick turnaround. So all cans, cartons, ingredients and stuff, contract manufacturers or co-packers or whatever, they need everything that constitutes your beverage or makes up your beverage to be at the facility 2 weeks before. So they know they have everything and they can kind of get it prepared and ready. So that's just a standard procedure in beverage, and I'm sure it's a standard procedure across many other industries as well. But for beverage, everything needs to be at the co-packer 2 weeks before. So because of that, you've kind of got to work back from the lead time. So let's say, for example, 2 weeks before, and then it takes 1 week to get to get these 6 ingredients of the 8 to the factory. So we're talking 3 weeks. Fantastic. Sounds amazing. Until you start sourcing the other ingredients. So I've got 2 ingredients that are coming from 2 different manufacturers. So that makes 3 different kind of sources for 8 ingredients, which, isn't all that bad until you realize that one of the ingredients has a 6-week lead time and another one of the ingredients has an 8-week lead time. So what that means is it is 8 weeks from when I purchase the product, which I'm going to have to do on Monday now because I forgot to do it on Friday. It's going to take 8 weeks from when I purchase the product to when it lands. Now, this is an estimate as well, but from when it lands in the warehouse of the co-packer. So what that means is you take that 8-week lead time and then you have to add on 2 weeks because that's the time that the co-packer requires. You add that 2 weeks and all of a sudden you're 10 weeks out. Now, I'm not really mad about it. Everything has been pushed back so far anyway that it gives me more opportunity to do other things. And we'll go into this after I'm done the ingredient conversation. But we're looking at about 10 weeks away, which isn't the most ideal thing because I just want things now. And that's probably one of my downfalls is being very, very impatient. But, we move. Being 10 weeks away is not the be-all and end-all. That is essentially, 2.5 months. And what I think when this kind of occurs and what this happens is it gives me a better opportunity to do more marketing and to do better marketing. So because I thought Exertion was going to be ready in April, and it was actually going to be ready in April, based off the last formulas, I only started making content probably a month before that. Not even. I didn't even start making content then. So if I had gone and done that, I would have had no grounds to fall back on. What I mean is I had no content. No one knew about the brand. The only way that people knew about the brand and the beverages was actually cold outreach. I emailed 2,000, 3,000 venues and said, hey, you want to stock Exertion, which is another thing we'll have to go into in terms. I need to write this stuff down when I'm making this content because I get so many ideas that I need to talk about. I probably should have an agenda, but, we'll get to that. So essentially I emailed all these places and said, hey, would you stock Exertion? But that's it. I wasn't making any content. And now that I have been making content for 2.5, 3 months, I still haven't got the attention worthy of selling the amount of beverages that I want to make. So what I think is, 2.5 months away, I get another 2.5 months or another opportunity to push the marketing, push the distribution, push as much as possible before the cans land. Because in an ideal world, I would have built up so much momentum about Exertion that when the cans become available, we sell out straight away. That would be the most ideal thing. Because then we can go back to the co-packer and say, hey, we need to make double, triple the batch. Let's go. And then just roll from there. It would give us so much leverage. It would work so well. But, we're not really at that stage at the moment. We're still holding on to a lot of everyday hydration stock, which isn't ideal. So obviously the marketing hasn't been good enough. So hence why I'm making long-form content. Long-form content simply just has a better shelf life, I think. All the short-form stuff on Instagram, all the stuff at the bottom is kind of gone and dead. It's 1,000 videos deep. It is just Gonski, whereas I see YouTube videos getting recommended constantly, even after years. So I don't think they'd get buried. I'm not 100% sure, but you can only try and fail anyway. So that was ingredients. So basically we've got about 3 suppliers of the ingredients. We've got about 8 ingredients going in. Really simple. We wanted to make sure that the formulation was simple. Because most of the time, simplicity often means it doesn't always mean, but it often means that you're not putting as much crap into the product, which is something that we did not want to do. We wanted to make it as natural as possible and as clean as possible. We don't want our athletes having to constantly consume these beverages, but then constantly be consuming, a product that's bad for them. Like, it wouldn't make sense. So, we've made sure that the ingredients are really good. As for the co-packer, we essentially get everything to their venue 2 weeks before our production date, and then obviously the production will occur. We've got to send a few cans off for testing, like microbiological testing, I think it's called, which just makes sure that the can's sealed properly, make sure that there's no bacteria building up in it, or that there's no bacteria that will build up in it, making sure that the shelf life is as long as we state it is. All these kind of just little compliance things, all things you don't see that goes into building a beverage brand. So that'll get sent off. The cans will then have to get sent up here, which is, an extra cost, which is something we're going to go into as well. But the cans then get set up here, and then we're ready to just distribute from there. So, it's a long process, and we probably still won't have the beverages. The beverages will be probably ready to sell in 3 months' time, which feels like a long time away, but I've almost been making content for about 3 months now, and I've seen how much it's done for me, how much I've grown. As I've grown from 0 to 100, so that's a pretty good growth, isn't it? But it also gives me the opportunity to grow a lot more and to expand and to fix what I haven't been doing right over the last 3 months. So, everything's an opportunity. Everything's a blessing in disguise if you think of it like that. That we move past that. What else have we been doing this week? So, most of which is sourcing the ingredients, I haven't really started designing the cartons yet. That might be a really important thing, because cartons are obviously cartons are obviously a very important touch point. And by touch point, I mean people get their hands on the cartons first before they get to the can. So the cartons probably have to look as good as possible. So kind of in the process of developing that, probably have to send that off to a designer. I don't really want to design that myself because I'm not the best at design. I just know what I like. I know what looks good. Most of this week has been sourcing ingredients, making sure that everything's coming together, and it's just a whole big coordination job. Not too phased about anything else at the moment. Let's go into distribution. Let's go into the whole, shipping things up here, because that's what's been on my mind the last week, and it's been probably one of the most important points just over the last day, even the day or two, and that is the utilization of Amazon for exertion. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, Amazon runs 2 types of programs, first and foremost, FBA and FBM. Now, FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon, which means you send your product to the Amazon warehouses, you list your product on their website, and whenever an order comes through, they pick pack it for you, send it off. Fantastic, right? And then FBM is you list your product on the Amazon warehouse, you warehouse your product yourself. When an order comes in from Amazon, you pick back it, send it off yourself. So it's all on you. Now, I'm all about simplicity with exertion. I want to make it as simple as possible by reducing the amount of complexity, we reduce, how much we can stuff things up. So what I'm trying to say is potentially having a one-channel brand where exertion can only be sourced from one place, if not two. So, for example, only being able to source exertion off of Amazon instead of, all these boutique stores, which adds complexity, retail stores. Not that we're at that stage at the moment, but, boutique stores, Amazon, we've got a Shopify store, it just, everything, there's so many channels. Obviously, it allows us to probably sell more, having more channels, but by concentrating everything to one channel, things become easier, more simple, less complex, and helps us move towards more growth, because we know as soon as we master a channel, we move to the next channel, we can grow that, by itself again. So Amazon, one of the things I've really been thinking about is, if we do house our products in Amazon, do we have the sell through? Is it going to be dead stock? And are we going to be making as good margins? And there's kind of a trade-off with Amazon. So Amazon has the full fulfillment thing, which is fantastic. That means that they, warehouse everything, send things out. I mean, FBA, I'm talking about FBA here. They warehouse things, they send them out, they do everything for you. At the cost of, they have like a pick, packing and sending rate, which for the size of a 24 pack of exertion will be, like $11 or something, which is really insignificant. Then they take like a percentage of your sales, whether that be 10 or 15%. So that cuts out a bit again, but that's all because they do everything for you. Then they also have a storage rate as well. So I think there's kind of 3 costs involved. But yeah, they've got a storage rate as well. But all this stuff is not really, really significant. Like, it's not a crazy amount. It's something that we could tolerate building our beverage brand. The thing is that you've got kind of no control over the way things are done. Like, Amazon controls everything for you, and it's probably for the better, honestly. Amazon's pretty good at what they do, but what happens, for example, if there's a bit of dead stock, or there's a bit of stock that doesn't move, or we have a rough patch where our sales aren't as good, then you're getting charged more and more and more for dead stock sitting there in Amazon. Then they make it a pain in the backside to take it out and everything. So, it's something we've really got to measure up. I think the best way of doing things, now that I think of it, is doing FBM with our Shopify store. So what would that look like? So fulfilled by Amazon simply means listing the product on Amazon, and then getting that foot traffic or digital presence. So let's go into Amazon before we go into FBM. So Amazon is a really, really good place at listing your products, because there are millions of Australians every single day that are going onto Amazon, and they're scrolling just through Amazon, having a look at everything. And it's like having millions of people walk past your shop window every single day. It's like, how good of advertising is that? Like, you just can't get better. You can't get any better. There's so much reach and so much opportunity for your product in Amazon, simply because there's just more people there. If we compare Amazon to my website, it's day and night. Amazon, millions. My website at the moment, couple people a day. So the incidence or the likelihood that your product is going to get purchased on Amazon is so much higher, simply because there's more people. It's a volume game. It's a numbers game. So by listing the product on Amazon, and if we do well, then Amazon promotes that product as well. So it just gets better and better and better, which is, really, really cool. And it's an opportunity that I think we're going to have to take. But regardless, FBM, fulfilled by a merchant, us, if we have everything listed on these multiple different sites. So let's say, for example, Amazon, we've got Shopify, there's Big W, there's Dick Smith, all these kind of places. We're just getting channels that are, accumulating, and we fulfill all of that. And I think that's one of the most important things. We control the customer experience because we control how the package gets shipped, when it gets shipped, everything. Now, it means it's more hands-on for me and anyone else who is helping me pick pack, whether that be anyone, depending on the scale and size we get to. But we essentially would do all the fulfillment ourselves. So it's going to be time consuming, and that's something that it isn't with fulfilled by Amazon or FBA, because they do everything for you. So you can worry about the marketing and everything and disregard the warehousing. But kind of as I speak about things now, I would rather warehouse everything myself because I have full control. Now it's going to be probably a little bit more costly, but we get that control aspect in our brand. And I think that's one of the most important things, controlling our brand, being able to pick, pack and warehouse everything and have full autonomy and full control over our brand. So if we're running an FBM, so Amazon coming through, we've got Maya, what are some other digital marketplaces? We probably do eBay, probably do our Shopify store, can probably do Kogan, Dick Smith. If we're listed across all these marketplaces, they all just converge into here. So everything gets picked back and shipped from here. So essentially, probably got to write this down, but essentially it would just be a direct-to-consumer business. And that's where 90% of our efforts would probably be concentrated into advertising and getting good positioning on these digital marketplaces. That's what they are, digital marketplaces. Besides our Shopify store, obviously. That's more like the personalized stuff. But all the other places are just digitalized marketplaces. So if we can manage to get good listings across there, which would be really, really important because there's millions of shoppers who cover all these sites. And then that is so smart. Cover all the digital marketplaces, get our Shopify up and running, and push traffic to one of these marketplaces, but also be able to just have the everyday person scroll past it as well is really, really important. I think that will give us a good opportunity to get some purchases that aren't even from our marketing. Because let's say with Shopify, for example, our website, we've kind of got to push people to our website. People aren't really going to end up there organically unless we create this absolutely crazy website that's optimized and blah, blah, blah. But we're not at that stage at the moment. Whereas if we list on all these marketplaces, Dick Smith, Big W, and the rest of it, Kogan, Amazon, you've already got foot traffic going through these websites, having a look at things. So if you can rank highly on these digital marketplaces, then you're just going to generate more sales. All the sales look the same on our end because they're just all coming in from the digital marketplaces. We pick pack, we send them out. That's another thing I've got to discuss is all the career stuff because we've been having some issues with careers and that whole process, but that comes later on. But yeah, potentially we could be doing Amazon FBM, fulfilled by merchant, and running all the other digital marketplaces as well, because the thing with FBM and all these digital marketplaces is we don't need to have our product in their warehouses anymore. We can warehouse it ourselves and we can list across all these different places and, dispatch it from the same location, which is actually really, really good idea. And it's something great to work towards. That'll be a next week thing. Great idea. What else have we been doing this week? I've said we're going to touch on multiple things today. I think that we've touched on a good amount of things. what else have we been doing this week? So we've gone over the whole Amazon debacle. We've gone over ingredients and the co-packer. Let's finish on something. I could talk forever. Let's finish on something that I find very, very important. And this is less about business and more about people. So I've contacted many co-packers. I've contacted many businesses, many services, many people while building Exertion. This is kind of more of a lesson or something that I've learned while building the brand. Contacted a lot of people. I've spoken to a lot of people. Some people have not been pleasant to speak with. Some people couldn't care less about you. Some people give you the world. To the people that give you the world, to the people that make your whole process easier, first of all, I thank you. Second of all, I want to be like you. Third of all, you just gain business simply from being a good person. So I made a short form video on this the other day, and it was about I don't know, I can't remember what I named it. It might have been quality of services or something. But essentially, I've spoken to a lot of people, and the people who I end up working with, price has like some pull. Price obviously has pull. We're bootstrapping this thing. This thing is being funded by me, so obviously pricing is important. But kind of behind pricing is who I'm working with. So let's take the co-packer part, for example. Speaking to plenty of different co-packers, and they're, for whatever reason, one of the most hardest people to get onto. I don't know why. Probably because they're working with a lot of beverage brands. They've probably got a lot of time wasters, so on and so forth, who just, I've probably been a time waster for the last couple of months, actually, simply because, Exertion's been pushed out so much. So I'm probably a part of the problem. But the co-packers, either, hard to get onto, terrible responses, just not great quality of services. However, the co-packer who I am going with has been absolutely fantastic, like one of the best communicators, and I hope one day he watches this when Exertion becomes very, very large. I hope that he gets the recognition he deserves, because he's basically doing a do-it-all-for-you process. He's charging a really good rate, and he's just a good guy. Like, he gives you the time of day. So obviously I'm very new in the beverage industry, and I'm not really sure about a few things. I ask a lot of questions, a lot of dumb questions, but, he's been able to give me a few calls to run over things. He's been able to be responsive to my emails. He's been able to quote me multiple times, even for the changes. And this has been over months. So I got in contact with him probably 4 months ago, and I've just kind of drip fed him information about what we're changing, and he's been so responsive to it. And it just made me think about how I want to build Exertion and where I want to take it, and what my principles and what I think would really work for Exertion. And that's what we're going to go into now. So to summarize, quality of service is absolute paramount. Like, you're going to get return customers. It's going to be really good for you. That brings us on to what I want for Exertion. So because I'm working with a lot of people with Exertion, what I mean by this is we're working with business customers, or clients, we're working with athletes, we're working with normal consumers. We're essentially working with anyone who drinks this beverage. I would say we're working with. We are delivering products to them. We are in some way providing them a service, whether it's getting them the drinks, whether it's making money for them, whether it's hydrating them. We're doing something for people. So, with that being said, I want Exertion to feel, or to be, one of the best places for people to go to get a quality service and make it feel like it's tailored and personal. That's a lot to ask for from a small brand, but this is kind of what I'm getting at. I want to build amazing relationships with our business, with our, small gyms, recovery centers, boutique stores, whatever. I want to make sure that they are looked after, because they are taking this is for anyone. They are taking a massive, massive punt on us, assuming that, we're going to make sales for them, or we're going to hydrate them, or we're going to be a very good beverage brand for them. Everyone who I work with at this stage, at least for probably the next year until we enter the stratosphere and take off and whatever, but at this stage, the people that I'm working with, they have no basis to work with me at all. The only reason that they would be working with Exertion is because of me. Now that sounds like really egotistical, but what I mean is they're essentially just taking a bet on me. Exertion has nothing to show for itself. It's got no ground. Like, we've got an Instagram with 80 people. We've got my page with 90 people or whatever. I hope I look back at this and have a laugh at how small that was. But, there's no ground or no basis to be supplying Exertion to your athletes, promoting Exertion, anything. All these people that are getting around Exertion, no basis at all, but getting behind me, because I am the only reason that Exertion would do well. I don't know how to explain that without sounding egotistical, but people are taking a bet on me because they see how passionate I am about Exertion and what the brand means to me and what they think I can do for them. So what I'm trying to get at is, it's really, really important that Exertion tries to deliver the best services possible for our people, because that way we win lifelong customers. Let's say, for example, it's not as personal, but let's give an example. Let's give Apple as an example. Apple has one of the best customer service, quality services ever. You walk in, let's start from the sales process. Let's go through the process. You walk into an Apple store, you're immediately approached by a really outgoing individual. They take you through a whole process of what they think's best for you, what you might need their products for, blah, 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 blah. But it's a really comforting experience. You're like, oh, this is really nice. It's really smooth. The person manning the Apple store is really good at what they do. They know what they're talking about, blah, 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 blah. Quality experience. They sell you on the product. You get the product. You unbox the product. It is so well wrapped. It is like the first point of contact, the first point of touch. It is high quality. You use the Apple device. It's a great product. It very rarely fails. And then what happens? You go through your phases of life. An Apple phone might get a bit old. Let's say it gets 3 years, 4 years old, like mine have. Get rid of it, and then you go buy another Apple phone, because you know that they gave you a good experience, that they said they would do what you do, and then you go buy an Apple MacBook, and it just continues. So first of all, I would never buy anything other than Apple. I don't think. Maybe a different laptop, but not an iPhone. Now that I think of it, I would only buy an Apple phone. So why could that not be transferred over to Exertion? Why could people think, if I'm going to hydrate myself, I'm going to be drinking Exertion? And the way we do that is by giving just an amazing customer experience. Making people feel an identity with Exertion, relate to Exertion, make it feel like they're some of the founding people of Exertion, make it feel like, when you find something early, that's your claim to fame. So, I don't have an example of this because I don't really find things that early, but, when people say, when Exertion gets to where it's going to get to, there's going to be people who I've worked with, business people who I've worked with, customers, athletes who I've worked with, who say, yeah, we were with Exertion when they had 80 followers, when they hadn't even developed the performance hydration range yet. That's when we knew Exertion. And that's going to be a massive point. There's going to be a claim to fame in their life. And it's also going to be what keeps them going with the brand, because they've seen it from the conceptual phases. So yeah, back to delivering an amazing experience. I'm not really sure how to do this. It would most likely start with me. And what I mean by that is I am the first point of contact with any of these things, because I am the first person to contact the athlete, first person to email the consumer, first person to contact any place. So the whole exertion experience, unfortunately at the moment, because I don't want it to be this way forever, starts with me. So I've got to make sure that I'm, at my best, that I'm accommodating their needs, and I'm doing or I'm helping them with their hydration journey and these kind of things. But also, what's next? Delivering a really good product. So making sure that exertion is actually a really good product and is really likable, packaging it nicely, advertising and building this brand identity on Instagram. These are all just such important things that would make people really, really loyal customers. And that's essentially what we're really trying to do, is make sure that when people enter the exertion sphere or the exertion identity, or they become a part of exertion, they love it and they become loyal to it, and they would never leave it. Like, there's a lot of people, let's say Red Bull, for example, we're running I think Red Bull is one of the best businesses, the way they've run things and the way they've done things. I think that, the people who started drinking Red Bull will probably, for the rest of their life, can continue to consume Red Bull. And that's the last point that I'm going to make, the being a 10-year thing. But the people who start consuming things generally just do it for the rest of their life. The people, building habits, let's take diet, for example. People, back in the 90s were doing keto or whatever. And many of those people are still doing keto because it's just been ingrained into their life. Like, they could do things no other way. And I want that to be with the same with exertion. That's what I'm getting at, is... Let's say, for example, I grew up with Powerade or Gatorade, and that's what I've been consuming all my sporting career. Not that I've drank too much of it, but I need that to be the same for exertion. Like, people just think, okay, sports hydration, exertion. Like, no other thought, because they know that they're going to get a quality product, that they're going to feel some type of way by consuming exertion, and they're going to get, high quality customer service, and just feel a part of the community. It's just this massive, it's how people feel. Like, I felt comfortable with this co-packer, so I went with this co-packer. I feel comfortable going with Apple because I know it's going to be a safe product, because it's just familiarity, comfort. It's all things people want. So exertion, when we have this finalized performance hydration range done, it will take a long time, but it will start to become familiar. The design of the can won't change. The formulation or the flavour of the beverage won't change. And by doing so, we build familiarity, which builds trust, which then eventually people just become lifelong customers of exertion because they know what they're going to get. They love the identity. They love the brand. They might believe in me. They might have been with us from the start. And these things just build. It's happened with many other companies, and it's just really important to deliver a quality service. And as much as we're selling a product, we're selling this feeling and this identity, which I think is kind of a service as well. We're doing a service to them. The final thing I want to get at for this week, I think this will be a weekly thing, because I don't think I'll be able to put out hour-long videos every single day. The final thing that I want to say is I want Exertion to have the way I'm building Exertion is to last as long as possible. So as much as I'm not concerned, as much as I want to push it as quick as possible as well, I want it to have some legs. I want to make sure that it runs for decades, that it looks after the athlete, the consumer, any businesses that purchase it, as long as possible. And I've been really, really thinking about how we do that, making sure that, we make good enough margins so we stay afloat. Because I think one of the ways that businesses blow up is poor cash flow or poor money management. And I think we as Exertion have the money management thing, very good. I'm very good at costings. I think I know how to manage the cash with the business. That's why we're running organic videos that cost nothing. That's why we're probably going to look at doing a bigger batch because economies of scale, these kind of things. But we want Exertion to last as long as possible. We want to be able to hydrate these athletes for their whole lives. So if we're getting athletes as they become adults or in their teenage years, they become loyal to us and they live with us, they become a lifetime customer of Exertion. And that's what we essentially really want. So we're playing a really long game here. I don't think many other people my age or in the beverage industry are looking to play the long game. A lot of people are looking to build big businesses, grow them as quick as possible, and exit. I'm not here for exiting. I don't want to sell my businesses simply because these businesses are going to build the lifestyle that I want anyway. I'm building Exertion to live a lifestyle around athletes, around exceptional people, around excellence. I want to be around these people because I love fitness, I love nutrition, I love all these things. And by selling Exertion, I'd probably just go start another sports brand or something like that where I'm entrenched in fitness and lifestyle. So why not keep it? Why not run it properly so that I can spend my whole life living with athletes, living with excellence, living with exceptional people, because these are things that I'm really passionate about and that I really love. So going to make it as sustainable as possible, making sure that margins are really good, making sure that we've got good reach, and making sure that I'm just constantly making content about Exertion and doing things as sustainably as possible. So I'm making 15 videos a day. It's really sustainable. I could be selling, 100 slabs a day. That's really sustainable. Obviously, we want to push Exertion to be the biggest it can, but that comes with time. That comes with patience. So I think that's kind of my last talking point of today. So I hope if you've stayed this long that you've enjoyed this video, this yap. It's very therapeutic for me. It's a way to get everything off my chest. I think we're almost at an hour now, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's not something that I ever thought I'd be doing. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that if you did stick around that you got something out of this video. Most of it is just documentation and yapping for me, but I want to provide at least a little bit of education and whatever I can in this video as well, so people, continue to watch and follow along. So thank you for watching this video. And yeah, stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. I might be putting out one a week, 2 a week, one every day, depending on how crazy I'm feeling. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.